Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of People of Clubhouse. Today, I'm going to be talking to Blanca Cobb. She is America's body language expert. When I met her on Clubhouse, something clicked because I too teach communication skills and also manipulation techniques. And so, as soon as she mentioned that she is an expert on exposing deception and busting liars, I was all ears. Blanca Cobb, thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course, you're welcome. It's my pleasure to be here.
So tell me, Blanca, why are you interested in this field? What made you interested in exposing liars?
That's a really great question, and I have to take you back to my childhood to help you understand. When I was a little girl, I was abused, and I didn't know who I could trust. But what I learned early on when I was a little girl, that if I paid attention to people's movements and their responses, then I got a pretty good sense of who they were and what their intentions were. I didn't realize what I was doing at the time because I was too young, but what happened is that their body language betrayed them. And then as I got older, I was able to see patterns in people's behaviors, and then figuring out what they're saying also really gave me a sense of who I could trust and who I couldn't. And then when I grew up, I went and studied psychology, and I have a master's degree in psychology, and I got formal training in body language and detecting deception, and I've been able to blend the two to make a successful career.
This is amazing. You know, I also raise awareness about deception and manipulation techniques from psychopaths and narcissists. So can you share with us a few of the red flags? We'll discuss more about that today in the room where we discuss how to bust a liar. But can you tell us some of the red flags we should be looking to in order to detect a liar?
Yeah, there are a lot of different red flags, but the first thing I want to tell everybody is that there is no Pinocchio effect. So what that means is there isn't one universal body language sign that lets you know someone is lying 100% of the time. There's no way to know that. Someone's nose doesn't grow like the fairy tale. But what you have to do is you have to pay attention to their mannerisms and their behaviors, and notice differences and changes in their behaviors and mannerisms, and you pay attention. What just happened? What question was asked, or what happened in the conversation? What topic was just changed? Because that gives you some hint as to what might be going on. And you pay attention to those changes in behavior, like I said, and then you ask questions. And another sign of someone possibly lying to you is when there's inconsistency. What that means is what they're saying versus what they're showing in their body language just doesn't add up. For example, I'll give you a very common example that occurs here in the United States. When you walk by somebody, you say hello to somebody, you're like, hey, how are you? And they say, fine, with this flat affect, no facial expression, completely disengaged, but they say the right word. So this is a good example of saying the right thing, but their body language shows something different. So you know something isn't quite right. You just don't know what. So that's another example of looking for congruency in what somebody says versus what they show. And another major area, a third one, is paying attention to the words that they use. You have to think about what they're saying. Does it make sense? Let me give you a quick example. If somebody's talking about something that happened in the past, whether it happened yesterday or 5 years ago, their verbs should be what? In the past tense. So if they're talking about something that happened yesterday or 5 years ago, but they're using present tense verbs, that's letting you know they're not talking about something that happened in their past. What they're doing is they're creating something in the moment. That's another hint. So those are my 3 big tips.
That's very interesting. And so in other words, what we're telling people here is that when the body language and the words contradict, we should believe the body language because it's more of it's a stronger message than the actual words.
Absolutely it is. Because people try to hide how they feel. Think about it. When someone doesn't want you to know that they're upset, that they're angry, that they're hurt, what do? They'll fake a smile because they don't want to talk about it, or they don't want you to know, or they might have some other reason to hide what they're really feeling. So absolutely. Negative body language will beat words any second of the day.
Okay, and you have a lot of TV appearances, Blanca. You've appeared with
Yes.
Steve Harvey and the Today Show and so many other interesting and very famous TV shows. What do you share on those shows? The same thing or different?
Great question. A combination. So it depends on the show. So when I was on Dr. Drew on Call, I talked about whatever trial case was going on at the time. Like, for example, I talked about Oscar Pistorius when allegedly he had killed his girlfriend at the time. I have talked about celebrities who have behaved badly on Dr. Drew's show. And then when I was on the Today Show, then I talked about relationships and body language and networking and body language. Like, how is it that you get attention if you're going to a network event, you feel uncomfortable? Or even looking at still photos and talking about different celebrities, how they're engaging with other people. And so it's a combination of what I'm talking about. I talk a lot about body language, and then I do talk about detecting deception when I'm on TV. And because I have a master's degree, I can talk a lot about a master's degree in psychology, I should say. So because I have a master's degree in psychology, I can just talk about human behavior overall. So whether it's in personal relationships or professional relationships, why people do what they do, and then how, you can succeed in life, those types of things.
And you teach people how to be comfortable on camera, not to be too
Yes.
uncomfortable or stressed out. Do you think it also has to do with managing their stress and also not faking it, not lying, so to speak, as to appear better?
Oh, absolutely. You have to be calm. So when I work with people to be good on TV, or even people who are making their own videos to promote themselves, their products, their company, their services, you have to be calm. And then I help you be comfortable in front of a camera, then to exude that confidence and to where you're charismatic. And the reason this is so important, and in this order, you want to be calm, because when you're calm and comfortable in front of a camera, your body language is what? It's going to show that you're calm. Right, that you're comfortable in front of the camera. And then I work with you to get confidence. So the more you know about being in front of a camera, about what your message is going to be, about where you should stand, where you should look, using positive body language, then the charisma follows that. That's where you're engaging. That's when you're entertaining. That's when people are sitting at the edge of their seats and they're leaning in, even if they're looking at your segment on their phone and they're going, oh my gosh, this is really interesting. Not only is she a powerhouse, but look at her. She's just like awesome on camera. That's what I help people do.
This is amazing. And you also, one of my tricks for speaking to cameras on TV is imagining in the camera somebody I really like talking to, like my best friend, for example, someone I would laugh with and be myself with, and just completely shut off everything else and just talk to that imaginary person inside the lens of the camera. You come across as very genuine and authentic when you do that.
You bring up a really good point. It's having a conversation. Even when you're on TV, when you're in front of a camera, nobody wants to be talked to. People want you to have a conversation with them. Exactly. So you bring up a really good point of envisioning, you're talking about a friend. So I tell people, they're like, well, I don't know who I'm talking to. I'm like, then you think about that one person whose life you're changing by being on camera right now, by sharing the information that you have. Think of one person whose life you're changing, and it totally changes the way you feel, the way you are in that moment, because then you have a purpose. Then you forget about the fears and the anxieties about being on camera because you're focused. That's right. The information I have can change somebody's life. It's going to make their life better, easier, healthier, and then you can focus on that.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Blanca. We're going to stop the recording right now for People of Clubhouse channel, and then we're going to start taking questions from the audience right here. Thank you so much, Blanca, for being with us.
Of course. This is so much fun.